in recognition for your perfectness, Travis, you are, it's like Jesus, Gandhi, you on the list of perfection. Bam,
Okay,
bam, bam.
hold on. Wait. Like at least above Gandhi because I never tried starving myself.
He had beliefs and he stuck to them, just like you.
That's great and everything, but like no food. It's like when your kid was like, you make something for them for dinner and everything, and they're like, well, I'm not going to eat it. And you're like, go be in your room and be hungry. And they're just like, oh, I'll eat. I mean, probably not with your kid either, because
I mean, he likes to eat.
like, you know, that probably fell on deaf ears in your household.
Starve yourself?
Starve yourself. No, I'll eat.
No, I don't know. Remington has thrown some fits. He's thrown some fits. Like me last week, raging all over the show. I didn't want that to be a show. Like I needed the vent. I wanted the vent, but I did not want it to be out there in the universe as one of our official shows. So instead of this week being episode 114, it's once again Two Trolls and a Brew, episode 113, TrollSmash Part 2. If you want to see the BS that I decided was not good enough to be on the stream, you can go over to the YouTube channel and look it up and watch it. But I don't like being negative or a downer on one of the streams or one of the shows, one of the streams, whatever. That's not who I want to be as a broadcaster. I can have problems or I can have critiques or whatever. But I just don't want to sit there and whine and bitch and cry and complain at people. So, which is what I felt like I did last week. So guess what? Do-over. Subtitle for this week is EDH is Magic.
It's called a mulligan.
Oh, mind blown.
You idiot.
GG's. Man, so troll cards this week. You have Conquistador's Galleon, and I have a repeat of last week's Seeing Red, but this week for a completely different reason. Seeing Red is just a really good Magic card.
Okay.
It's just really good. And I think if you have it, you should consider playing it in your limited pools because it looks like this is a build a battleship format. Like very few sets have been in the past.
So what's it do again?
Ironically, I don't know if I have it pulled up handily. Let me see. I thought I did. It's like +3 plus. Here we go. Boom. +2/+1 and first strike, but you have to attack or sacrifice Sea Red with the creature that's enchanted.
That's right.
For a red and a generic, it's an aura. Yeah, this is a battleship format, like very little. Did you get to do any? You did not do any of the pre-release, right?
Nope, I forgot to ask for time off.
Yeah. So we'll get into the details of how my pre-release went, but oh my god, this is from how my pre-release went. Most people ended up like playing a reasonable creature, seeing if it's stuck on the field for a little bit, and then went boop 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 boop, and then you better be ready to kill it. It was crazy. So we're going to talk a lot about that, the pre-release in general. But before we get to that, what about Conqueror's Galleon, Travis? What makes it special this week?
Okay, so basically last week, Standard didn't fire, and then I said any Modern on Friday because except for this last, I really didn't play the deck that because it was bad.
Okay,
Do you
so
remember the deck?
Let's rewind 1 second because there was a really nasty lag spike right in the middle of your sentence.
Okay.
So let's pretend that we all heard that and we know exactly what you're talking about, but we're in a time loop and we're doing it again.
Okay. So do you remember last week when we built that blue-green mill / stompy deck?
Yeah, like we were discussing it. Basically, it was built around that 1 mana 3/3 from previous set that let you, when you played it, your opponent gets a land, and then you were going to archive trap them. Right.
Yeah. It's horrible. Don't do it.
Yeah. So we discussed it at Friday Night Magic that week. I'm like, Travis and I were throwing this concept around, and I got laughed out of the room almost. Like, not actually, but it sure as hell felt like it.
Right. Because so I mean the theory it works because you play a beater on turn 1, go and do anything, then you got a 3/3 that they have to deal with. In Modern, there's these two like really powerful cards, um, that Path to Exile and Fatal Push. So it's kind of like,
well, in Lightning Bolt, that was one of the things that I mentioned was like,
yeah,
there's a lot of ways that it can get you. And we were just kind of hoping that the incidental, hey, you have 40 cards left in your deck, have a worry would be something to kind of push people, but sounds like that was a nay.
I just don't even just ignore it.
Okay. Excellent. It was a good thing we skipped that show then.
So Saturday, or not Saturday, the standard on Thursday, it didn't fire. So we all just played and stuff. For EDH, I have a Pirate Commander deck because that's what I do.
We talked about it many different times on the show, yeah.
So I played Conqueror's Galleon, and then I attacked one of my opponents, and he was like, "It's me. It's 2 points." I'm like, "Cool. All right, it flips now." So I guess the Conqueror's Foothold should be the part troll card of the week because they do their thing, and then there's me and 2 other opponents left, and this is one of the rare occasions where I let the other blue player live. Face it, counter magic is just awful to play against. So I waited until it was the aggressive Mardu deck. Thalia was the commander. And then me, the pirate deck, where I had in play Trove of Temptation and on the pirate that draw a card if you attacked.
Okay.
So he killed the control player after I knew that I had a lockout on the game, and he attacked me. I was like, oh, okay. I guess in response, I'll activate the very bottom part of Conqueror's Foothold back in my hand and bounce your team in whatever order that you want. And he reads it, and he's like, so he gets the land, and he reads it, and he's like, oh, crap. I'm like, yeah, so is it my turn? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, just know that for the rest of the game, you're never going to touch me. And he's like,
so now I'm looking at this thing. So 4 mana for a vehicle that's a 2/4 crew 4. When it attacks, exile it, and it turns back around. And then it has several abilities. Tap to add a butthole mana. 2 generic, tap it, draw a card, discard a card. 4 tap it, draw a card. 6 tap it, return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yep. And so the game had been going on for quite a while because I was able to every turn tap the land, get Aether Spouts back, and then play it.
Okay, so it's the Aether Spouts that is the card that I was missing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that seems good.
Okay. Well, I didn't say the name. I said that I could bounce their stuff.
Well, I thought that was the last ability of the card was to bounce all the things. I'm like, there's a land that bounces all the things? That seems strong.
Oh, that'd be busted. Yeah. That seems like a good thing to have.
Seems like a very noble Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, so he was just like, I was like, you're not going to touch me for the rest of the game. And so he just didn't attack me. So I was able to get Aether Spouts back to my hand and just sit there with it, right?
So then you're able to take and return whatever card you want from your hand each turn.
But instead, since I knew I had enough mana to do all these things, I just played down Mind's Dilation, which he has a bunch of angels sitting on top of his deck. Powerful. So, he's casting spells and I'm just getting it. And then he's like, now you have enough to bounce all my stuff for the rest of the game. The top card of my deck for the rest of the game. I'm like, yep. Well, I do have one out. And I was like, can it be either of these 3 counter spells? He goes, all right, I'll scoop.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff like that that makes me not want to play Commander. Just like completely.
Well, and I didn't even realize that was a combo that I had. When I built this Pirate Commander deck, all of the cards in the deck, I only put them there because they were either pirates on the artwork, they were a creature pirate, or it had something to do with like stealing stuff or treasure. So I wasn't really trying to build this combo. It just kind of happened.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not fair or good. I'm just saying that if we ever got to a moment in a game where I'm just like, well, we can keep playing, but there's no opportunity for me to win. I don't mind being in board states that are like that in general. It's just in a game where that's supposed to be all just hanging out, having a good time, having fun. There does have to be an eventual winner. But like when I get locked out of a game in that manner, it just takes me right back to like the early days of EDH. That made me just want to get away from it.
Right. And I don't disagree. That's why I was just kind of like, oh, all right.
To be fair, you are talking about a 6 mana combo.
It's more like an 11 mana combo.
Well, I just mean to return Aether Spouts to your hand and then cast it, I think is 11 mana.
11 mana plus the land itself. So it's basically
fair.
I have to tap 12 lands in order to do this combo. And it's really only one card and if you attack.
Right. And me, I'm like sitting here going, I'm just waiting to see how much longer I can rebuild my bounce all your stuff to your hand deck from standard a few standards ago in Frontier. I'm just like trying to figure out at what point can I just go ahead and put that back together.
And here I just accidentally built it.
Right. Well, I mean, something. It stumbled together. That's, in my mind, that's the difference between a competitive deck versus a screwing around having a fun deck.
Yeah.
So, for me, like a screwing around having fun deck in something like EDH was to build the 5/5 or 10 power and toughness matter wild pair / Fist of the Suns deck. Like, rawr! Like to me, that's fun. Like, hey, you know what's better than 1/5/5 for 5 mana too? Oh, like, and that's just a terrible idea. And as a deck, it should never do anything.
Right. Well, see, and I built the Pyre deck with the full intention of going back to it was kind of like one of my old decks in Theros, where I had the Daxos of Miletus.
Okay.
Like, do you remember that dude, the colorless white and blue?
Yeah, he
And then,
like you hit him and then you get to like gain life equal to the top card of the deck and you can cast it or something.
yeah. And like, I had other combos in there that was basically just like, I'm not doing anything, but I'm going to win with what you play.
Right.
And that's basically what this deck is. You know, there's only one of each, and all of the artwork has pirates on it in addition to. So that was really my main goal with the deck. I've now found two different combos that lets me just make other people not play. And while it's funny, it's also kind of like, all right, well, I'm that guy now.
Yeah, and when you find those combos, again, it's something that if they're incidental, but they don't happen very often, it's fine. Again, and I think if we happen to stars align, we were playing and this one combo came together, I don't think I'd be like throwing a big fit or whatever. But telling me that story just made me go, great. Now there's another thing that makes me not want to play Commander. Because I mean,
Yeah.
remember back in the early days, it was actually a very cutthroat format. And people were just like cramming in as many combos as they can and as many tutors as they can. And like, hey, can you interact with me? Because if you can't, I'm going to win the game.
Right.
And I just didn't find that to be a lot of fun. However, this
There's
boat is
still
sweet.
some players here that do that. And when that happens, I just bring out Bergamos and make them realize that they're not as competitive as I am.
Well, and because I am such a not a big fan of EDH, again, the kind of decks that Remington and I put together when we put together an EDH deck, it's like, hey, I can loop Pinavises. Like
Yeah.
with my, you know what I mean? Or he's like, hey, I think he's got the black something Death Toucher, like 5 mana when it exploits a creature and he can like tutor whatever he wants. Like that's his sweet, you know what I mean? Like that. Those are the kind of commander decks that we've built. And then I sit down and I watch these other guys play commander, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna put in a winter orb, and now I'm gonna play stasis, and you know, you guys can all eat me, and it's like, this does not look like fun to me.
Right.
So
yeah. Personally, I try not to do that, but there's two times where I've just built, the super try hard decks, and really I've built them out of spite.
right.
The Borgamos I built initially for fun, but the more and more I just beat people when I feel like, my rage out on something, but I don't have a punching bag, I bring out the Borgamos and, here you go.
Right. Hey, real quick, as a quick side note, on the Gatherer, Conjurer's Galleon has 5 stars, and Conjurer's Foothold has 5 stars. Would you like to guess how many votes it has?
Is it 1?
It is 0.
0 votes?
0 votes. And it's 5 out of 5. What the shit, Wizards? What the shit?
Well, they're just like, you know what? All of our cards are perfect.
That's
and
right.
Until someone votes against it, they're going to be perfect.
That's right. Exactly. Oh my God. Community rating 5 out of 5, 0 votes. It's like this show. 5 out of 5, 0 votes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jesus. All right. Well, I'm gonna rant on for a minute here about not rant. I'm gonna go on for a minute about my pre-releases here and pre-release experiences. And you're a little laggy. Are you still on the house Wi-Fi? Because if you are, you might want to switch it. If you're not, you might want to switch it back.
All right. I'll just turn off the Wi-Fi real quick.
Why I rant for a second here. So I ended up playing 3 out of the 4 pre-releases, and I ended up winning 2 out of the 3. So that was really cool. Day 1, the day I won, first, I had Dead Man's Chest and Angrath, Flame Unchained, and I picked up an Eldinda, the Dusk Rose. So I ended up playing like this weird Mardu type deck. I have to say that Angrath is infinitely better than I thought. Like if I thought he was a 9 out of 10, he's an 11. This guy is crazy. Because it is such a heavy format based on building a battleship, there's a lot of situations where my opponents would try to like enchant their 3 mana dude and kill me with it, and just like, all right, well, I'm going to steal your guy, and then he's going to blow up. Really, really was crazy. In fact, there was at least one situation where a guy equipped I think it was a 2/3 flyer, and I could have killed it that turn. Instead, I could have killed it on the turn, or I was going to wait till the next turn, and I wanted to advance my board. And in that turn that I chose not to kill it, he equipped it with or enchanted it with a Mark of the Vampire. So he was hitting me for 4 points of lifelink every turn for many turns until I finally was able to get this guy onto the field, steal his guy, get some life back, and then blow it up at the end of the turn. Really good. The +1 ability was also really good. Overall, I think we did not give this guy a high enough rating in our when we talked about him last. This guy's absolutely bonkers. So I ended up 4-0ing that pod. It was fortunate that we had enough people to have 4 rounds. The next one, I think there was 12 people. I think it was another 4-rounder. But it was a really small tournament. And I think my rare or my standout card was a Trapjaw Tyrant, which I was able to use exactly 1 time with the aid of like 3. Oh, what are they called? Like a Reckless Rage and some Tilia's Crowns. So that makes your guy +3/+0, but it does a point of damage to the creature when you enchant it. So I was able to like play 2 of those, and then I also was able to use a Release to the Wind to exile one of the enchantments, bring it back, and hit it again. So I was able to steal like 4 permanents over the course of 2 turns, and basically just it was absolutely bonkers. I was really impressed with those cards. I also think that Release to the Wind is secretly a great card. Dead Man's Chest let me break a stalemate wide open and steal a Zeppa Primal Dawn off the top of somebody's deck. So like I think it was already a 4 power guy, and then I pumped it, and the guy's like, "Why are you pumping it?" And then I killed it. After enchanting it, and I think I put like 6 cards off the top of the deck. And I went ahead and I cast the Primal Dawn, and then I realized that the other card that I got off the guy's deck was a double strike card, and I was just able to attack with my unblockable pirate and give it double strike and win the game. So that was cool. Crafty Cutpurse showed up on one of the days, and that was a lot of fun. People trying to make tokens on their turn. I was just like, those are my tokens.
Yes.
There was a moment where we thought that I just got to steal all the tokens forever. Then we looked at it again, and it is just till end of turn. So it's a little worse than I thought, but it was still a lot of fun.
But on the plus side, they don't get them.
That's right. No, they don't get them, and you get them.
Right, until end of turn.
Till end of turn.
And then do they die at the end of turn?
Well, no, they're yours forever.
Well, you just said that they weren't.
No, that any new ones made.
Oh, okay.
So, like, basically what happened is my opponent made 2 zombies with that, or not zombies, vampires with that spell that says make 2 vampires. And I'm like, oh, great. I didn't have enough mana to cast this guy. I'm like, well, this guy's probably just going to ambush a vampire or whatever. And then he cast another one the next turn. I'm like, awesome. Play it. Made 2 dudes. He's like, well, I guess I can't attack with my 2 vampires because then you'll just block with your 2 vampires. I'm like, yeah. But that was really cool. Something to keep in mind, if they have whatever the white doubling season card is, if they go to cast a token and it would be doubled, but you play this guy in response, you don't get the doubled. You just get the first token.
Right.
And there is no doubling. So kind of they're both replacement effects, and yours basically happens first because you usually don't have priority. I think that's how that works.
Well,
oh, good.
Well, I was gonna say, like, because of I think how the procession is worded, like it would double if it comes in, right?
So it's a replacement effect, so it doesn't enter the battlefield. It is instead enters as 2.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's kind of how that works out. It's weird. Mutiny also is an incredibly powerful spell for 1 mana. Could be good enough to make it into some other formats even. Target creature an opponent controls deal damage equal to its power to another target creature a player controls. Look for this card. I think this card could be very, very good. You do have to be able to target both parts of it, both creatures, but if you can target them, then weirdness gets to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This thing blew me out many times because I didn't have one. So I had to be on the lookout for that. Let's see. What else did we have that's over the course of a couple of things? One of the decks had a Storm the Vault. Not as good and limited as you might hope, for the record.
That's the blue-red?
The blue-red that turns into a Academy?
Yeah.
Valerian Academy? So I finally got to the 5 artifacts. I flipped it over. And in the course of doing so, I had to tap there's a 2/1 like 3 power fire breather for 3 mana.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it, and I flipped it over, and I thought, yes, I'm going to be able to add like 10 mana to my mana pool and do stuff, and I had some extra mana open. But that's the turn my opponent killed me. Otherwise, I think I could have got it to a 18-2 Trampler. Which probably would have won the game had I not already died.
Right.
But I realized that game was over very, very early. So I just played for the fun of that. Let's see. What else? Just real quick. Cleansing Ray is very good. Destroy target vampire, destroy target enchantment. Surprisingly useful. We already talked about the Tyrant. Secrets of the Golden City, I think, is also another card that could see some play in some places. Blue, and 1 for a sorcery that says draw 2 cards. And then it has Ascend, and if you have the city's blessing, you draw 3 cards instead. Draw 3 for 3 mana is great. I don't think there's a lot you have to say about that. Let's see. Brazen Freebooter is a 3/3 for 4, a human pirate that makes a treasure when he enters the battlefield. Also great. That guy, he attacks for days. He blocks really well in this format. Like, just does everything you want it to do. Let's see. We talked briefly about Buccaneers Bravato. It was one of the cards that I mentioned last week in the show that shall not be spoken about. Is being very powerful. Target creature gets +1/+1 at first strike, or a pirate gets +1/+1 at double strike. This card ends games. Just ends them. There was a moment where I was able to put the +3/+0 in trample, an enchantment, on an unblockable pirate and give it double strike to do 12 points of damage in a single turn. That is a effect that cannot be overlooked. That's a turn 4, 12 damage. which isn't a turn 4 win. But if you got any additional attacks in beforehand,
Right.
like it adds
Well,
up super quick.
especially since there's that goblin pirate that you can like turn 1 you attack, turn 2 you can play something else with haste, swing in. That's still 4 damage right there.
Well, there's the 2 power 1 mana pirate. It would also fit in that really easily.
Yeah.
Um,
You can just straight
and
up go aggro and then turn 4 if you can drop that on one of them. That's just ridiculous.
right, so like on turn 2, you have potentially 3 points of damage really easily. Probably more, plus maybe a shock. Like you can totally get in range. Like it is a thing that could happen to be able to attack for lethal. Not necessarily as likely as some of the other combos, but we'll see what happens. Let's see some other standouts for me this weekend. I had the 12/12 that cost 2 green mana. The Gela whatever Primal Hunger. That card's okay, not great, but good, especially in a deck with a bunch of fight cards. It was very good.
I think that 12/12 is gonna it's gonna do something in modern or legacy just out of nowhere.
I think it's going to get played in standard. I really do. I think it's going to get played in the Merfolk decks. I'll get into a specific example in a little bit, but yeah, I think it's got a home. The single card that I now fear the most coming out of this pre-release is Profane Procession. This card was not on my radar for cards to worry about, I don't think, but this card is, if they drop this thing on turn 3 or turn 4, it is very hard to win the game.
What does it do?
So this is a 3-mana enchantment for a black, a white, and a generic.
Mm-hmm.
And for black, a white, and 3, exile target creature. Then if there are 3 or more cards exiled with it, transform it. It turns into a gold-producing land. And for 4 mana and tap it, you can basically put one of those creatures into play.
So in order for that to flip, do you have to activate it?
Yes, you have to activate it and have 3 creatures under it.
Okay.
So it tries to flip when there's a 3rd creature. So you can get many creatures. No, you can't. You can exile many creatures, right?
Yeah.
But you can only have 3 under it. So you put the first 2 under it, and then you can activate it as many times as you want. Whenever the first one resolves, it'll see that there are 3, and then it'll flip over. But then the rest of the activations will just exile the creature forever.
Okay.
But yeah, this thing, because how do you can't play things. So the pre-release, the second pre-release the one pre-release that I didn't win, I had 0 victories. And my round 1 and my round 2 opponents, they both dropped this card on me on turn 3. So I'm like, okay, the 2 air elementals in my hand are dead, right? So I'm like, I guess I'll play this 2/1 and hope that he steals it, and then play like this 3/2 and hope, try to get him to flip it over with bad creatures and then be able to play my air elementals. Because the thing that I did not want to do is give him air elemental, he turns it over, and then he plays boom, boom, and I'm dead. As it was, I still died. It turns out you have to be able to play creatures to play Magic in Limited, and this thing
or
just
at least a
creatures.
ton of burn spells.
Well, it's just, I don't know. I couldn't figure out a way to beat it. Maybe if there's a land destruction spell, or maybe that the Blood Sun, maybe it can beat it. Like, I think there's going to be room for cards to counter this land specifically. The rest of them are also very good, but this one in particular is absolutely insane. I have 2 of them now, and I'm seriously considering just adding them straight into my Esper deck from last season, just as like straight upgrades for like Wraths.
Okay.
It just feels like the beating card. Like I don't know how to beat it. It's very, very strong.
Flinged.
Well, yes, if the creature doesn't exist there anymore. However, if they, because that's part of the cost, so that doesn't work.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to get around it eventually. Let's see. A card that I did open, I wanted to play, but I was too much of a chicken to like try to figure out how to mutate my mana base. Form of the Dinosaur. It was going to be basically my only red red card that day, and I could not bring myself to do it.
Do you want to get incredibly stupid?
Sure.
Okay. Play Form of the Dragon with Soul Scar Mage.
A Skull Scar Mage? Is
Yep.
that discard a bunch of cards?
No. It's the one drop that's a 1/2 with prowess. And whenever a source does damage that is not combat damage, it does it in the form of neg 1 counters.
Okay.
So, like, your life would become 15 when that enters play, right?
Yes.
And then as long as you have the ability to protect the Soul Scar Mage during your next turn or during the next turn or whatever, it does 15 damage to another creature, and then that creature does damage to you.
Yes, it basically fights us.
Right. Does it to you equal to its power, right?
Yes.
All right. Except the Soul Scar Mage is going to make the 15 damage that's dealt to it turn into neg counters. So it's going to have negative 15 damage or negative 15 power on it. So it just won't hurt you.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that works that way.
I think it does because I want it to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the effect's going to go on the stack with a certain amount of damage assigned, and then it's going to resolve.
No, it won't have any power.
But
that's how the stack works.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because it's just like how the stack works where the creature's going to die before it does damage to you, so it can't possibly hit you back.
There you go.
Same time. So I want to get into one specific thing, and I don't know if I actually texted you the picture. It doesn't look like it. I'll text it to you after. So I took a picture of this particular board state, and day 2, my day 2, Sunday, I opened, I don't know, something like 15 merfolks and the dinosaur.
Okay.
Right? Including Kumitra, Tyrant of whatever the city's called, and the other legend from the previous block that makes all your merfolks hard to target.
Yeah.
So, and I also ended up with the merfolk tutor, the Forerunner, I think they're called.
Yeah.
And that guy says you put merfolk on top of your deck, and then whenever you play another merfolk, it gets a 1/1 counter. So with 15 merfolks in my deck and these 2 legends, I have a board state that consists of ridiculousness, where at one point I played like 4 creatures and that 12/12 dinosaur, and
for like 6 mana.
Yes, it was crazy. and so on this picture, and like I said, I'll try to get it up in the show notes. I have my weakest character that is actually a Sailor of Means, but my weakest not Sailor of Means creature is the 2/2 merfolk that can't be blocked by creatures power less than 2 or something, 2 or less.
Okay.
That's got 1 counter on it. Then the other legend has 2 counters on it. And then this 1/3 guy has 3 counters on it. I have a Branch Walker that has 5 counters on it. A Silvergill Adept that has 4 counters on it. Another one of those 1/3s that has 4 counters on it. My Harbinger has 9 counters on it. Because it turns out if you play a Harbinger and tutor up the guy that says draw a card if you tap like 3 merfolk, it lets you draw lots of merfolks if you have a lot of merfolks in your deck. And and the legend has 4 counters on it as well. So not to do quick math, but 9, 4 times a lot. I had a lot of power. My opponent
9 times 4 times 19. Let's just say it costs 2.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome. My opponent was a pretty good sport, and that was game 3 after I conceded game 1 after I had won but realized I had accidentally misled my opponent. So I also in that deck had a Golden Guardian. Yeah, Travis shakes his head. Oh, big surprise. Samus screwed up at a pre-release.
He cheated again.
So I played the Golden Guardian. My opponent picks up, reads it, and I take it back, and he attacks. I block, and my Golden Guardian dies. Right. So I flipped it over. I wasn't even, Golden Guardian dies. Return it to the battlefield. Transform. Unfortunately, there's a word in there. I don't know if people know this, but it says this turn, inferring that you have to activate the activated ability. So I didn't fight. I could have, but I didn't because I did not realize at the time that it was a combined effect. And very quickly won the game very, very quickly, making 4/4s for basically free every turn.
Yeah.
It's very easy to win the game once you turn this guy over into a land.
Very easy to win the game when you have a bunch of 4/4s for 0.
Well, it's 5, I think. Like it does cost mana, but it doesn't cost cards, so
right.
It's basically free. But yeah, no, it was very good. I played it 2 other times and never got it to flip on its own, which was aggravating, but I just always had to play it on 4 and block immediately, and people just killed it right away. They're like, "Whoa, I better kill that before it turns over. I see what you did to so and so over there when you let it flip over." So yeah, I did get pretty lucky having to win back-to-back games.
I guess that is like a double-edged sword with creatures like that, where it's like, okay, I need to waste a spell on this creature. It's like, all right, well, I know that you're going to reserve a target for this specific dude, so you can play around the fact that they have to waste a spell, or else they're just going to get overrun.
Well, the biggest challenge is that it also kills your creature.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like they have to do it. To go in to kill it, and then you have to have your creature fight it, which probably kills a creature in the process.
Yeah.
So it is like a 2-for-1. It's a built-in 2-for-1, but once it gets going, it's so many more. Many more. I was very impressed.
Especially in limited.
Yeah.
Like if you have the ability to just, all right, here's a 4/4. Here's another one. Oh, here's another one, and I'm still drawing cards.
Right. I think this guy could be really good in something. I'm not sure what. Where you can, when you have a creature you can throw away, like you're at that point in the game where you can throw it away and then you can kill it yourself. So like something where you say, I don't know, fight like a 1/3 with lifelink that you no longer need his scry ability when an artifact enters the battlefield.
Right.
And then like minus a Tezzeret to like flip it over and then immediately begin to pump out. It costs you no mana to do that, really. 2 mana to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it could be really good. It does take a lot of work to jump through the hoops to make it happen, but it could very easily be worth it. The other card that I got, I did actually get a climb. Hand as a climb or whatever it's called, but I could not make it work in the deck that I had at the time. I really wanted to. I thought it'd be really fun. I saw other people use it and do a lot of work, but I couldn't make it happen. Which is good because, like I said, I won 2 out of the 3, And the other one, I didn't even take a game. I would have taken or a match. I didn't take a match. I would have won the match, the last round, but I instead scooped it up to my out of town opponent, so he could get the pack and not go home with nothing for coming all the way, to play Magic. So I don't know. And then even at the end, the guy was like, "Are you sure, man? Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes, dude, cheers."
For being a filthy cheater, you sure are a nice guy.
I mean, I try, right? A couple other cards that kind of stand out. Moment of Triumph is a very, very good card. Gain 2 life, target creature gets +2/+2 for a single mana. Is quite strong. And what was the other one? There was another, I think it was a green creature, had a weird enrage ability. Overgrown Armasaur, actually. There it is. Whenever it takes damage, it makes a 1/1 Saproling. That guy was actually very, very relevant as well. So very, very pleased. Would have loved to try a few other things, but only got to play in 3 of them. Tinder Sheet Dryad also is an okay Magic card. Not nearly as good as some of the other ones we mentioned, but I did get to play one of it, and it was quite strong. So I came home with, I think, 17 plus another 12 or 13 packs.
Okay.
So almost a box for my 3 pre-releases, so I felt okay.
So
plus the packs themselves.
So one of the stores here, they've implemented a credit system.
Okay.
So instead of, paying out packs, they pay out the equivalent in store credit, So it's like you could buy singles if you don't want packs, or you can, save it up to buy a box later on, or, just you can spend your winnings in Magic to buy sports cards or something, or like playmats, or, whatever they have in the store. And so far, that's actually like made more, with the exception of like the last Thursday, more people have actually showed up for tournaments.
So I know a couple other stores that run a credit system,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to do a credit system at the arena, but we would have to modify some database to do that. And having any kind of database system that Todd will actually use,
Right,
would be an uphill battle. I mean, I can't get him to maintain an inventory system online or somewhere. So because again, it involved using a database. So it's one of those situations where, yeah, I could put the effort in to do something like that, but unless I came up with a interactive a system where he could basically just like talk to it essentially, and I'm not sure he would do that. It would be a real challenge, but he does let you do, like, packs are like another kind of money at the arena. So like if you get some packs, he'll turn them into a pseudo credit of sorts. Most people do it like there's a percentage. Does your shop do full pack value?
Yeah, so basically they decided not to do like packs at all. It's kind of like if the entry fee is $5, then that goes straight to the credit. So like if 8 people showed up or something, so it's like.
So what you're saying is they don't turn it into packs first. They just give you credit and then transition that credit into
whatever you want. Yeah. So like if 8 people showed up for like just a random, constructed event, then that would be, first place gets like $20.
Right.
And then like I think it's 10, 5, 5 or something. I don't know.
See, and that would be again, that'd be acceptable if we could maintain a system that everyone liked. Our biggest challenge with something like that would be that because we charge such a low value or low price on our packs, essentially everybody who signs up for like a $12 Magic tournament is a pack and a half a person. Basically, it's a little less than that if you do the math, but it's like a pack and 3/4 of a pack per person that signs up for $12. So basically, $12 for 4 packs, and a third go into the prize pool. And to turn around and offer that into like a cash value, because our packs are $3.50 a piece, or they're 3 for $10. Yeah, that's right, 3 for $10. So it gets kind of funky. Some of the other shops that I know have done that. They give you like 70% on packs. Of whatever their sale price is. So depending on how much of a particular type that they have in stock. So like if you won standard and it's the hot new set and you have 12 boxes or 12 cases sitting there to get rid of, maybe you're not as interested in regaining those packs as if you would be, for something else. I don't know. But I've seen them change a little bit. I really like how Joey does it. When he announces the prize support of his tournaments, he gives you 2 options: this much dollars in store credit or this many packs, and it's usually very, very close to value. I don't know. Like I said, every shop's a little bit different. I would love to have something, but to maintain it across all the employees at the arena, for example, it would have to be a database. And I know that Joey does at Goblin Games. I know they run a database. They run a single day tab that's on a sticky note, and then they run a multiple day tab that is on a database.
Right. Well, seeing the that's really similar to what the cart, like one of the shops here does. It's like, hey man, can I start a tab? Like he only does it to people who are repeat customers. Like it's basically me and like 5 other people that have a open daily tab. Like we show up, we go like, hey, I want to enter, and can I get water and a couple drinks? Like, yeah, just write it down. And like, if we buy packs, he's like, yep, just mark it on the thing. And like he only does it for like 5 people, right? And then the rest of it he has on the computer, like for like winnings and everything. So I think like he started it on the 1st. So I think this year so far I have $15 or $16 in store credit still.
Yeah, I do like that idea personally. I like the idea of store credit for packs. I like this idea of those kind of things. And like I've gotten to the point where I just take my packs and I exchange them straight in for whatever packs I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm just grabbing unstable packs just to get lands, and I just throw the rest of the cards basically in the garbage. Essentially, I throw them in the take them if you want them pile at the shop. But I feel like
you throw them in the, hey, here's a permanent marker, proxy a deck, see how it goes pile.
Same pile. Basically the trash pile.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun. I think that's totally acceptable. I would like to implement that, but again, I don't know. It's going to take a lot more for me to get that pushed through.
There's a lot of stubbornness with the ownership of the arena.
There is, which I'm both glad for and unhappy for a couple of times. Like when I screw up and I feel like I'm going to get canned because I screwed up, and instead he's like, well, did you learn? I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, well, I don't give a S what anyone says about you, then it's fine. I'm like, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you very much. At the same time, like I hear something like another employee's done, and I'm just like, how the hell does he still have a job? Like that is insane to me. Like when I screw up, it's like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. This guy screws up like a 12, and I'm just like, how is he still at a job here? This is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really glad that those kind of situations, the ownership is stubborn. But when it comes to things like, if we could just get an inventory system, I could easily sell cards online. Well, I could just put them on eBay instead. Like, Yes, but not everyone wants to go through your eBay store to buy cards. Sometimes they just
Because
want to
the
look
eBay
this.
store is massive.
It is because that's 80% of the business right now, right? The,
Yeah.
phys- the physical store is there to get people to bring him things that he can sell on eBay. That's the store. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I would love to be able to get that. Maybe I'll put it out again. In fact, today it's funny that we're talking about this store credit, not on our agenda, but our judge actually for our PPTQs, which are coming up in 10 days, the 27th and the 28th. So if you're listening to this, I'll probably get this out. Let's assume that I'm not a lazy bastard on the 19th. So you basically have a week. If you're close enough, the double PPTQs are awesome at the arena and at Goblin Games. I highly recommend them.
Okay, so the 28th, that one is in Salina? That one's at the
It's
arena?
fine. Yeah, you're saying that you have a chance that you'll be there, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that since Saturday it's going to be the whole wedding and blah, 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 a bunch of family crap. I think Sunday should be a free day for me because I think we're driving back on Monday.
Right. So you get one day with family, one day to screw off, and then one day to drive back. That
Yep.
sounds about right. I could understand people in your life negotiating that kind of rate with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, Paul, our judge, actually sent me a message. He's like, dude, I just woke up from a dream. Are you at the shop? I'm like, no, why? He's like, well, in this dream, I had a tab at the arena for like $7. Could you check and see if I still have a tab? And I'm just like, if you did have a tab for like $7, you probably do. But let's just say I took care of it for you because nobody else is going to remember that you had a tab for like $7.
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
Well, see, and with the whole inventory thing, there's been stores that I've gone to where, they have it all on their computer.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you need a card, ask us. And I can type it in really quick and we'll tell you right then and there if we have it. So, nobody's wasting anyone's time.
So like I went to a shop a long time ago in Washington, in Seattle, right? Perfect stuff. And it was one of the biggest, one of the most original, like right after WotC set up there, like they set up early. They did a lot of their early testing for them and stuff like that. And it was like that, right? Where there was some amount of cards that were loose, like say 10% that were loose that you could look at, but everything else was like you said, it was on the computer, and you punch it in, and it gave you how many they had, of what grade, what binders they were in. All the binders were alphabetized or coded, and the contents were all alphabetized by set.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, how many does the computer say we have? Sure. They walk over, pull it off the binder, flip it over, pull them out. It was like the Dewey Decimal System, but for Magic cards.
Yep.
I think that's the ideal system for big shops. Unfortunately, I don't have a big shop, so I don't think that would happen. A shop like in Manhattan or Kansas City that are like 3 times, 4 times the size of Salina, you're talking about 200,000 people, and definitely worth doing. That being said, I just want to take and have some percentage of the cards that basically get locked into my office that I put into binders that we can have set up on the database system. And you can have your cards that are not in the database, and you have my cards that are in the database. And then if you want to sell the cards that are in my database files, you check them out. We pull these cards out of your database, and then you sold them in the shop, and then the rest of them get listed on the website. And then we can sell some stuff online, some stuff in the store, and everything would work fine. Making that actually happen, though, it's an uphill battle.
Pulling teeth, man.
Well, change is slow sometimes.
Yeah.
Water drops got to drop on the rock many times before there's a Grand Canyon. So,
unless you fail.
Well, that's right. Well, what I'm saying is I'm peeing on making change at the arena, trying to carve a Grand Canyon.
I'm just peeing on stuff. Hopefully they'll change it.
That's right. It's gross now. It's mine. All this is mine.
Well, it kind of ruined this.
Oh
Hey, go
man.
ahead, give it to him. See if he can change it.
Yeah. Well, I that's basically all I want to talk about this week. Did you have anything else in particular you wanted to talk about? The pre-release was a lot of fun. I think the set's a lot of fun. I think that's definitely some bomb-tastic cards.
I did have another troll card that I just kind of remembered about while we were
Sweet.
talking.
Do it.
Alms Collector.
It feels like an old card.
Well, you're 100% wrong.
Okay. Is it a brand new card?
Yeah, it's out of the Cat Commander deck.
Okay.
Okay, so it costs 4 mana. It's like a 3/4 with flash, and whenever an opponent would draw more than like if they would draw 2 or more cards, they instead draw 1, and then you also draw. So it's essentially instead of like you brainstorming, then we both draw 1, and then you put 2 cards on top of your deck. Uh, so I was playing a big group game, and on turn 2, one of my opponents suspended Wheel of Fate. And the very next turn, I drew this card, and I'm like, huh, all right, let's see how this goes. So I'm just playing all casually and everything, and then he goes to cast his the Wheel of Fate. It comes off suspension, and I'm just like, wait. In response, Alms Collector, and they looked at it, and the blue player's tapped out, and the person with all the kill spells is tapped out, and the other person, he didn't have any interaction at the time because his hand was empty, and he was just like, oh. And then like the other two players looked at the card, and they're like, so essentially you're drawing 10 and everyone else is drawing 1. I'm like, yep. Welcome to Catmander.
Yeah, I looked it up. You are correct. Again, it has a rating of 5 out of 5. Guess how many votes?
0.
Again, 0.
Perfect
Yes.
score.
And but yeah, this thing's also got like a laundry list of rulings underneath it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if it's a card that you're gonna play, definitely read it on the old gather over here. But yeah, there's like 7. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 rulings.
6 rulings. It's like 7. 6 is a lot like 7.
Because 8, 9.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Okay, troll on everybody.
Hey, before you troll on everybody, SamusGarobo.com, 2 trolls in a brew, gmail.com, twitch.tv/SamusGarobo, twitter.com/turtlepower319, twitter.com/SamusGarobo. Check out the YouTube page if you'd like to watch us. Recently, we got a bunch of downvotes on last week's video, which is the other reason why I decided not to put it up. Because I think I don't know. I just felt like, especially I was still sick. I just think that it didn't sit quite right. But come upvote this one. Now you can troll on.
Oh, troll on.
Toodles.
What if they're giving us downvotes as a form of trolling?
I don't think there were really that many votes. I think it was just 1 or 2. I think it was the person watching when we recorded live.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, probably because we're both ugly.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Okay, troll on. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.